Here we are again. We have to stop meeting like this. It's one of my common jokes. Hi, Carrie. I was almost going to sing tonight. And then I practiced like a few lines and thought, no, my voice is a little creaky and it's not a night for singing. But it is a night, another night of living and breathing and being, even though I'm kind of been banished to my room because there's a Wi-Fi guy, an internet guy downstairs, and just too much going on down there. So here I am up in my room, just not wanting to be in touch with anybody else's droplets. Kind of scared of all those droplets out there. I still don't know, what landed me in the hospital, but if it was someone else's droplets, I don't want to have any part of that scene. But I've been contemplating, not thinking too much, Carrie. I took your advice. But I got asked the question to tell a story about a simple moment of joy that took my breath away. And I don't know if the simple was actually part of the question or not, or just moment of joy, but regardless, moment of joy. My first thought was just like, how do I choose just one? There are so many moments that I've lived in my life, so many that have taken my breath away, and those are all kind of like big stories, right? But the moment of joy, there's all kinds of moments that take our breath away. They're not always joyful. They can be shocking. They can take your breath away that way. They can be beautiful, but that like a joyful moment. And like I said, there's so many, and that's so vague and so vast. It's like, how do I narrow it down? So I just let my mind rest, and I just sat with the question, and a very small memory popped up into my awareness. And that's what I'm going to tell the story about tonight, is that one little moment of simple but pure joy that popped up in my life. And I can't tell you the day or the date or anything like that, but I can tell you that, remember, we lived in a little small house, and my children were around me all the time. We had a homeschooling lifestyle, an unschooling lifestyle that kind of lived by the mantra, the world is our classroom, we're learning all the time. So we had kind of a child-directed learning approach to living our lives, and then just living our lives together. I thought of the kids as my littlest roommates, and taught them with this, and treated them with the same respect as I would someone. How do I word this properly? Not using old language. I treated them with the respect that they deserved, the respect that their intelligence deserved, the respect that their opinions deserved. I tried not to have that I'm the adult and you're the kid and you've got to do what I say approach to living with little people around me all the time. And so I loved that term. They were my littlest roommates. And it really helped me keep the perspective that I wanted to. Yes, to protect them and house them and clothe them and feed them, but also to allow them to be who they are and not mine. They were never my children. And I got away from that language when they were little. Anyways, we lived in a little home. They were around all the time. And so when my to-do list got to be too much and I started being that grouchy mom, one of my favorite things to do was grab the girls and just go to a park. I would take my book, I would pack some snacks. Sometimes we'd get a fun beverage on the way there. And, you know, it was just a simple way to get away from the to-do list, away from the house and the never-ending tasks and that kind of spinning around. It was like a tiny house that I felt caged in a lot for many reasons. Anyway, so we would escape to a park. And I remember this one day, just getting there, setting up the blanket, setting out the snacks, making sure the kids were like knew what they wanted and needed. And then I lay back down on the ground and just let the earth hold me for a moment. And that, like, you know, it was probably like exasperation, a mix of exasperation, relief at being out of the house, exhaustion from not sleeping enough and having too much to do and not resting enough and all those other things that we do as mothers with young children. And I lay back, and that moment that my head lay on the grass and I just allowed myself to be so held by the earth, I looked up at the sky and just had this amazing sense of it's that big exhale, you know, where you just let everything go and surrender to the moment, to what is, and let everything that is undone and not cared for and not relevant in that moment, you let it go. And I don't know, it was hard for me in those early years to let anything go. I put myself in high stakes, you know, like I had to be this incredible mom, an incredible partner, incredible daughter, incredible community servant. You know, I don't know what I was trying to do, trying to be super everything. But that moment of relief when my whole body was supported by that picnic blanket and the earth, and I looked up at the sky, I just felt free of everything. Everything disappeared for that moment. And it became this reference point for me. Fast forwarded a couple years later to 9/11, which we just passed the anniversary of. And just prior to that, leading up to that, there was like some kind of political upheaval, and we were talking about it. And in my mind, it was like, I wonder when the last time those politicians just lay back on the grass and looked up at the blue sky and the clouds and just let everything go. And I wonder when the last time they felt held in a loving way by anyone, you know, the earth, their mom, their beloved. So it became this reference point in my mind when someone was struggling or up against the wall of their own stuff, like I often was when the girls were smaller and I was struggling to reclaim my own intelligence and respect for myself, most likely in the wake of respecting them or doing my best to respect their intelligence and their brilliance and their light and their beingness. It's like, I wonder when the last time that person lay on the grass and looked up at the sky. And so that's the sweet moment, the moment that took my breath away and became this reference point, to the point where I crave that. You know, I crave just going out and being held by the earth, laying on the sand in my darkest hours. If it's possible, I've had friends take me to the earth so I could just lay on it and feel held by a magnificent source of nurturing kindness and unconditional love. And that's what the earth is to me. And that moment of joy, I think it's a good prescription, right? For all that ails us, just go and lay on the ground. And whether there's snow there or not, snow angels, it's such a great feeling to be held. And sometimes humans aren't there for us or can't be in the way that we need them to. But in my experience, the earth is always there. So, yeah, that's my sweet and short story in the seclusion, being banished to my room on this Monday evening. And I'll say goodnight for now. And if you have any other questions for me, please DM me or send me a little note somehow, and I'd be glad to answer any and all of them. Yeah, so good night. Have a beautiful evening in this lovely fall crisp weather.